So here we are. So we've got basically, obviously our question is, how can nutrition and recovery strategies affect performance? So we are looking at nutritional considerations, supplementation, and recovery strategies, and we'll talk through all of them. And with each one, now remember, your job is to do this bit. So I am talking about this for all of them. Your job is to have an opinion and be able to compare, for example, the dietary requirements of athletes in different sports, critically analyze the evidence for and against supplementation, and research recovery strategies to discern their main features. So for each one, you have to go ahead now and be able to apply that knowledge. So that's one of the big things with PDHP, is to remember obviously to remember the syllabus really well. Like, you need to know the syllabus. Like, for example, if a question came about how can an athlete's recovery strategies affect their performance, you should know in your head what comes under recovery strategies. So you should be able to talk about physiological strategies, neural strategies, tissue damage strategies, and psychological strategies. That is why really understanding and remembering the PD syllabus is super important. And yeah, because that's when you'll get questions like, what recovery strategies are the best. So a lot of your questions come from left hand side of the syllabus, like sometimes taken straight out. So it's just a matter of remembering and applying. So let's have a look. Now, what do we eat? Nutritional considerations. So firstly, we've got protein. Protein is used for muscle repair and growth. Carbohydrates are a primary source of energy, and there are two types of carbohydrates. There are high GI carbohydrates and low GI carbohydrates. So high GI carbohydrates are generally are referred to as simple carbs. So these are carbohydrates that provide short-lasting energy relatively quickly, and they are good for when you need short bursts of energy. For example, and examples of high GI carbs include lollies and fruit juice. Carbs, they work straight away. In comparison to low GI carbohydrates that provide long-lasting energy over a longer period of time, and they're really good for glycogen stores. And as you would know, we need glycogen stores, for example, in our lactic acid. And I just quickly want to, now that I'm talking about lactic acid system, I just quickly want to sort of iterate that all three energy systems are working together. Like, your body doesn't go, okay, I'm just going to use the lactic acid system. It's like, you use one and then you seep into the next one, then you seep into the next one. So obviously we need, like, PCCP. Any athlete who is a sprinter still may have to use, still would have, carbs that can be used for aerobic exercises, for example. So with low GI carbohydrates, remember, complex carbs provide longer lasting energy for a longer period of time. They're good for glycogen stores and long lasting energy, and these and this is because they take longer time to sort of break down, and that is why they can provide energy for longer. So examples include whole meal pasta, whole meal bread, brown rice, and quinoa. And so that's carbs. And finally, we've got fats, and fats are important for secondary energy, plus also for our vital omegas. So low here, just to flag, means slow. Okay, moving on. So now let's have a look. At pre-performance nutritional considerations. What should we be consuming prior to our performance? So firstly, pre-performance hydration is very important. You want to be aiming to drink like 2 to 3 liters of water a day before. 500 ml of water on the morning of the performance, and finally 250 ml pre-performance. So hydration is super important. In terms of food, eating complex carb meals is important because, as we spoke about, carbohydrates, they provide energy for longer. You want to aim to eat carbs, a complex carb meal 3 to 4 hours prior to the competition, so that you can maintain and increase your glycogen storage, because it is a main source of energy. Now, and that is known as carbohydrate loading. So carbohydrate loading, so eating it 3 to 4 hours before is not, but obviously eating lots of carbs to store energy is known as carbs loading, and we do this 36 to 72 hours prior. So this is when like 1 to 3 days before. So with complex carbs, as they release energy slower and they supply body with more energy for longer, and they're also able to optimize glycogen stores to delay fatigue and thus maximize performance and improve performance by like 2 to 3%. During performance, you want to replenish during performance every you want to replenish during performance with 200 to 300 mils of water every 20 minutes of physical activity. So obviously you want to keep drinking water throughout the performance. And food, it is important the muscle glycogen and blood sugar levels are maintained. And that will also help you avoid hitting the wall. So hitting the wall is when you're running out of your energy stores. So hitting the wall happens in the aerobic system when you transition from using carbohydrates as your main source of energy because the stores have depleted, and you move on to fats and proteins. So when it comes to food, you want to refuel during performance. Refuel with both low GI carbs for later energy and high GI carbs for like immediate energy. So if you saw like if you see obviously like stuff like Tour de France, if you see cycling and marathon events in the Olympics, you would notice that they are consuming like water as they are cycling, and also like cyclists eat as well as they're cycling, and they eat things like bananas, like you would have seen bananas, and also like bread stuff. I can't tell what it was, from the TV, but they eat like sandwiches, not proper sandwiches, like bread rolls and stuff as well as they're cycling. So post performance now, this is when really important to consider how we are going about recovering the body from all the exertion. So hydration is important because you need to replenish all the fluids that are lost via sweat. Rehydration is essential for recovery and it helps to repair muscles. So to measure the amount needed, we record the athlete's weight before the physical activity and after, and we use that as a guide to sort of see how much fluid has been lost. So to replace that, drink grams lost in milliliters. So for 500 grams that you lose while you are participating in an event, you want to drink 500 mils of water. So it's like grams equals mils in terms of water, and water to drink and water that is lost. Food. So again, with both carbs and proteins, you need to replenish the stores. So carbohydrates, so to replace glycogen stores that have been depleted. So high GI for quick burst of energy, and for a faster energy recovery, like lollies white bread, and low GI like wholemeal pasta brown bread to help replenish glycogen stores for in the long term. Protein is consumed within 30 minutes window of finishing performance, in which the body will digest and absorb protein to repair any tissue damage. That is very important. Particularly important for power, strength, and contact sports where the body tissue is frequently damaged. So this is it's more immediate, 30 minutes after play. Now, supplementation. I will just give you a very quick summary on this. So obviously know what the different types of vitamins and proteins and creatine supplements are being used for. But the left-hand side is really important in the syllabus, and that is looking at that is asking us to critically analyze the evidence for and against supplementation for improved performance. And my 15-word answer is that supplementation is not needed if all your nutrients and nutrients are already being consumed in a healthy meal. That is really important. That is the answer here. You don't need to have supplements if your meal is already catering to the right amount of vitamins and proteins and minerals. This is because and this is where now in a because this question can easily come as like a 6-8 marker, then you need to go ahead and tell me what those other, you have to obviously tell me what, for example, protein does in the body, what vitamin does, what creatine supplement does. But then you have to say that if all of these are already being catered to by a healthy meal, you don't have to consume supplements. Because if you consume supplements, what happens? Well, the the natural levels of these minerals in your body increases, and too much of them can be harmful. So like excess consumption of vitamin can lead to joint pain and headaches. Similarly, if you're eating too much protein, you would have heard about less protein, but like if you're eating too much protein, that can be detrimental for your kidney function. That can lead to kidney failure too, like too much protein as well. So that is why, that is when questions like this, you need to give me reason for, evidence for, and against. So evidence for, could be that most of the time vitamins and minerals aren't catered for in the meals, like not enough of them are catered for in the meals, so you need to include supplementation for, especially for example, female athletes where they're losing a lot of like iron through menstruation. So for them, like, they need the supplement. But if you already have a good meal, a healthy meal that is catering for the right amount of these vitamins and minerals, you don't need to overdo it. So no supplementation if you are already consuming the right amount. So now let us look at the recovery strategies, and we'll look through each one: physiological, neural, and so on. So there are two types of physiological strategies that we need to go through, and you need to remember this, that there are 4 types of recovery strategies, and in the first one, in physiological, there's 2 types. You need to remember that. So firstly, cool down. Cool down is done to return the body to its pre-workout state. So you go, so you do the same exercise like warm up, but at low intensity. And this aims to decrease the heart rate, and also it helps with waste removal like lactic acid and heat by muscle contractions during cool down, which pushes against blood vessels to aid blood direction and removes waste. It also reduces DOMS, which is delayed onset of muscle soreness, and that can happen like if you don't cool down after exercise. The lactic acid remains, takes longer to disperse, and that can lead to soreness the next day. Hydration, again, is very important. So replenish as dehydration slows the recovery process, and hydration can help provides more volume to blood to assist with waste removal, because for example, you'll be removing the lactic acid waste that is in your bloodstream, and like we said earlier, grams equals milligrams. Grams equals milliliters. So 1 kg is equal to 1 liter. So if you've lost 1 kilo, for example, weight before the event and after the event, that means you've lost about 1 kilogram of water, of fuel, of water, right? So that means you should drink about 1 liter of water in order to replenish that. Sorry, I meant 1 liter of water lost, not 1 kilogram of water. Oops. Alright, then we've got neural strategies. So neural strategies refer to hydrotherapy and massage. So they're more about neurals and nerves, related to like the general nerves and body tissues. So hydrotherapy assists basically, you're using water to assist recovery by aiding waste removal, soothe aching muscles, and has minimal joint impact. So you can use cold water, so ice baths or plunge pools, which are 6 to 15 degrees, and you can use them for 3 to 15 minutes, continuous or intervals. So you can get out, come back in, or you could just sit there continuously. There is also hot water hydrotherapy. So hot water hydrotherapy is when you going at like 38 degrees for 15 minutes. And you can also alternate between cold and hot. So you'd go like 6 to 15 degrees water for 16 minutes, and then jump into 38 degree spa for 15 minutes. So you are changing it each time. And the benefits are, with cold water, it decreases the blood flow, so decreases inflammation, and thus it also decreases soreness, and it also numbs pain. On the other hand, hot water hydrotherapy increases blood flow. It also increases circulation of oxygen and nutrients to damaged tissues, and it decreases stiffness. So if you've ever been sore, you would generally go take a hot water bath, and you'd feel a lot more relaxed. And the benefits of both is both. You're getting both. Okay, so now let's have a look at massage. So massage with physiotherapist or foam roller at trigger points, and the benefits are that it increases blood flow, which means that there is so it increases blood flow, and therefore supplies oxygen and nutrients to fatigued muscles. It promotes waste removal, so removal of lactic acid, and finally, it also relaxes your nerves. Hence why both are part of the neural therapy. Next, we've got recovery strategies, so tissue damage. So this is chirotherapy, and chirotherapy is when you're using water and ice to help with damaged tissues by removing heat, decreasing blood circulation, and decreasing inflammation and pain. So I've got a YouTube video there for you. It's in the slides if you want to have a look at how it actually works. But basically, there are three aspects to the machine. So cryogenic chamber, this is where we are filling it up with liquid nitrogen. So whole body, 3 minutes, it releases endomorphins which provide pain relief. So you're actually going into the chamber of liquid nitrogen, whole body. There is also local ice application, so numbs and reduces pain, decreases blood flow and swelling, and finally cold water immersion, same as hydrotherapy. So there are um, three different sort of elements of cryotherapy. So you can go in a cryogenic chamber, you can apply ice locally, or you can do cold water immersion. And a way to remember this is to think cryotherapy, cryotherapy is tissue damage is equal to tears, which equals to cryotherapy. So that is